Yesterday the Buddha said to ascetic Subhadda that when there is no Eightfold Path, there will be no samana, one who extinguishes kilesa, samana of who has true knowledge. Only when there is this Eightfold Path, there can be samana who possesses true knowledge, samana, the one who extinguishes kilesa. In this way, the Buddha laid down these definite principles. And then he asserted that only in his dispensation, that is the practice of Eightfold Path, and only in his dispensation, there are the samana, the holy ones who possess true knowledge. And as for other teachings, they are void of samanas. That means kilesas who extinguish those who extinguish kilesas. As for Subhadda, with having this background of paramis, perfections, he was fully convinced. Actually, he came to clear his doubts about his teachers and teachers' teachers, whether they knew what as they professed, or they were just talking blindly, or is it that some knew and some did not know? And also he was not able to clear these doubts with his own knowledge. He did not possess enough knowledge to clear this doubt. So he cannot clear the doubt, cannot come to any acceptance or firm resolve. So he also thought that nobody besides Buddha could be able to clear such doubts. So he came with sincere motives to know the truth to the Buddha. And also the Buddha laid down the principles, Dhamma principles, so as not to affect anybody personally. And as for Subhadda also, he came to clear his doubts with much reliance on the Buddha. So it is necessary at this point that the Buddha had to express with bold and definite assertions. Hence his bold statement that only in his dispensation there is the practice of Eightfold Path, and only in his dispensation or in his teaching there are these samanas. So in this way he laid down the Dhamma principles without affecting anyone clearly. As for ascetic Subhadda, he was able to accept what the Buddha has explained. As for people nowadays, it's different. Even such a clear-cut assertion is made, people may not accept such assertions. In this connection, about 1984, when Sayadaw went to the West for the first time on his Dhamma mission at the Bury Meditation Center, he was preaching the Dhamma. Dhamma means Satipatthana, both from theoretical and practical aspects. That was the beginning of his Dhamma mission. And he stated this in his discourse about what the Satipatthana discourse, the great discourse on mindfulness, have said in the beginning, Ekaya no ayam bhikkhu mekko, meaning there is only one way. Monks, there is only one way for the purification of impurities, beginning with craving, lust, raga, and so on. And such a way is the four foundations of mindfulness. It is what Sayadaw said in his discourse. Some don't seem to like it, especially the statement of one way, saying as one way. In fact, he was just presenting the discourse, what the Buddha, according to the Buddha's discourses, Buddha's teachings, and also what the commentaries have given, that this revealing or exposing the quality of Satipatthana. Nothing extra to it, simply as it is. So there was one person, one yogi out of the crowd, wrote a letter to him the next day, saying that Venerable Sir, I was satisfied with and all these talks that you gave earlier on, and they are all reasonable. However, I'm not in favor of this statement, namely, there was only one way for the purification of beings and so on. He didn't like it. He said he didn't like it. So he said from that day on, he was going to leave the retreat. So he did. So as for the Buddha, he laid down the Dhamma principles, and if one has got to assert clearly, one has got to do so if occasion arises for anyone or for the Buddha to assert. He has to assert or affirm. Such as only in his dispensation there is the practice of a full path, and only in his dispensation of teaching there is this samana, or there are the samana, holy ones who extinguish kilesas. And in such other dispensations, the void of such things, not even Padesavati, that means Vipassana yogis, insight meditators, even it was shown by the sub-commentaries, even that there was not even books regarding the Vipassana. There are no books about insight meditation. So if he were explained like this, he would be very much dissatisfied. However, in the case of ascetic Subhadda, he was very much satisfied, extremely satisfied, when the Buddha said that only in his dispensation there was this Eightfold Path and Samana who possessed true knowledge. And Subhadda came to a decision that there was no practice of Eightfold Path in his dispensation, that means in his teachers, or teachers' teachers. And there was also no instruction to undertake the practice of Eightfold Path leading to the extinguishing of kilesas, samana. And there was no samana also in his religion. So, and there was also no Bodhisattvas, insight meditators, who would practice mindfulness of every arising, every sense impressions, such as seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, by way of the three characteristics of impermanence and so on. And according to the sub-commentaries, there was not even books about Satipatthana or Vipassana. And there was no practice of the preliminary path, Bhavabhaga Mega, which was the cause for the arising of samanas, who possess true knowledge. So he was very much satisfied with this statement, and he was able to cultivate faith and confidence. But as for that person whom Sarah was referring, he was not satisfied, and he was not even able to cultivate his saddha, his faith and confidence were all gone, disrupted, and so was his Dhamma. So nowadays, one has to be very careful in giving these statements, but although when occasion arises to give assertions, one has got to assert the truth as given in the original teachings. Of course, Jara has been giving talks in accordance with what has been stated in the text, and he is, in this way, he is discharging his duties. Even now, up to this time, when we are coming to near the end of our retreat. So, this statement was done without denigrating others personally, by pointing out the weakness of other people. It was just giving the truth. And at this, as sometimes when the occasion rises to assert the truth, one has got to do it and one has got the responsibility. By doing so, one is discharging one's responsibility. And when is one is saying, speaking the truth, revealing the truth, laying down the Dhamma principles correctly, one must be able to give attention with right mindfulness, right attention. One must have right vision. Then only one will be able to accept. Otherwise, if one thinks that, oh, he or she is just praising oneself, just denigrating others, but uplifting oneself. So if one sees in this way, with wrong attitude, wrong attention, then one is bound to lose in the Dhamma, in the work of Dhamma, in the Dhamma practice. So here, Sayadaw Subhadda has very clear awareness, right attention, and he was able to reason out correctly. So it is quite interesting how he replied to the Buddha. And because he understood that, he totally left his religion and decided to enter into the Buddha's sasana. And this is how the Sayadaw Subhadda replied to the Buddha. This reply was out of his very heart. He said, I'm beginning with this expression, Abhikandam Bhante, magnificent, Venerable, magnificent. To give the simile, it is like turning over what has been done upside down, and opening up what has been hidden, and showing the right way. It's just like showing the right way to a person who has lost his or her directions. Or it's also like putting on the light in the darkness, so that those who have the eyes can see. And so too, the Blessed One has given him the Dhamma in many ways. And he continued to say this to the Buddha: I, who has listened, heard this Dhamma, go for refuge to the Buddha, go for refuge to the Dhamma and Sangha. And he continued to request the Buddha, Venerable Sir, I would like to be admitted into your order, being novitiated and receive higher ordination. At this time, to become the member of the Buddha Sasana, the Buddha did not force anyone, or even Subhadda, directly or indirectly, to be admitted into the order of Buddha Sasana. Neither did he praise or frighten Subhadda into his order. It was only that Subhadda was satisfied by being clear of his doubts, and in this way, by showing the Dhamma quality, the Buddha was able to organize it. In this way, he was able to admit people like Subhadda into his order. Nowadays, some people preached their doctrines, saying that their doctrines is the true one, and others are false. In this way, they would force people into their order to choose between sword and the Bible. If one refuses to be admitted, then one will have to accept the sword, or one will be killed by the sword. And if one is accepted into the order easily, then if one believes in this Bible, then one will be accepted in their order or orders. So in this way, they do it by force, not by ordinary Dhamma means. So even nowadays, there are such kinds of practices, the way of admitting, allowing people into their order by hook or crook. So in this case, one has got to be bold enough to understand the truth, proven by one's own practice. One should have the ability to protect oneself so that the truth can be seen. So even so that one see the truth with one's own experiential knowledge, then one will not renounce one's belief or faith. Even if somebody comes and tell you that, oh, if you renounce this faith, I'll give you lifetime wealth so that you don't have to worry about material wealth throughout your life. Or if you are frightened with death, that if you don't renounce, then also you will not be overcome by such fright, such fear. Or even if somebody with auditory prowess enough to make the marble statue smile, come and tell you, convince you, try to persuade you, you will not be persuaded because you have accepted the truth with your own personal experience. Because you are quite satisfied with the method of practice, and in the course of the practice also, you are able to overcome these impurities, corruptions such as craving, aversion and delusion on a part-time basis, minor and in a minor way, or on a part-time basis, momentarily building up this stilling of kilesas in order to realize the real cessation of these kilesas, 4 times cessation of kilesas. Then one will come to say to oneself, because one is so much satisfied, one will make a decision that, oh, this is it, this is the true Dhamma. And this is the true Buddha who has revealed the truth. And the Buddha is the true Buddha. So once you are able to overcome these cessations, overcoming of kilesas on a part-time basis, leading to the realization of this cessation on a 4-time basis, you will be satisfied with this practice, and you will come to understand that there are individuals who have extinguished kilesas, such as the Arahants, and you come to believe, have faith in their existence. And then also one comes to a decision or firm resolve that the practice is correct. And then because you know that the practice is correct, you come to acceptance, resolution that the person, the individual, the Buddha who has revealed this practice, the Dhamma, also is the true Buddha. And also there are individuals who have overcome kilesas. So in this way, you will instill faith in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha throughout your whole life with your own personal experience, and cultivating this faith with your own personal experience. In order to show Vinaya to ascetic Subhadda, the Buddha explained this to Subhadda. As for non-believers who want to be admitted into the order of Buddhists of the Buddha, first of all they have to understand the Dhamma Vinaya. If they have to be admitted to Dhamma Vinaya, they have to undergo training. In other words, they should be under observation for 4 months as a trainee, Parivuddha apprenticeship, and to observe. During this time, they will be under observation whether they are going back to the old trends, or are they able to follow the disciplines as laid down. So only after they are found satisfactory by the Sangha during this 4 months where they are fully ordained. But here Buddha said that I can differentiate, or I can understand, I can tell whether one should undergo this observation, Parivuddha, or not. So this is how the Buddha said, something which is good to imitate, good to copy. On one side, he just prohibit, and on another side, he just kept the way open. So Theravada was so much faith in the Buddha Sasana, and so I have so much strong zeal to be ordained, to be admitted into the order of Buddhism, or to the Buddha's order, that he said this: if there is a rule that one has got to undergo this observation for 4 months as Parivada, as for the non-believers, so only when after they are found satisfactory during these 4 months of under-observation, they would be ordained. If that is the rule, then I wouldn't mind, even if I had to undergo this Parivada, under observation, apprenticeship, for as long as 4 years. So this shows that how Subhadda has cultivated his faith and confidence, how much he had awakened his faith and confidence. So it was after 4 years when the Sangha found him satisfactory, let them ordain him or admit him into the order. So at this point, this is something for us to know, to follow this example of when one is laying down these disciplines, and one has got to consider the kind of individuals that we are dealing with. It depends on the kind of individuals. Sometimes we have to relax the rules. At the same time, not affecting the rules. The rules are there, but depending on the individual, one has got to understand whether these rules should be relaxed or not, depending on the kind of person. So also when problems arise, we not just take strict actions, but we got to find out some kind of solution. That, just as the Buddha has solved this problem of apprenticeship or under observation, saying that he understood the kind of individual, whether he could relax the rules or not. Such is how one, in the face of disciplines, one has got to see to the kind of individuals, and if the rules have to be relaxed, they have to be relaxed. So not in the nature of, oh, I am Buddha, I can proclaim any disciplinary rules. It's not like that. So the disciplinary rules have been laid down, promulgated in a reasonable manner, and there may be occasions where one has got to relax these rules, and here the Buddha was relaxing the rules with great compassionate feeling, Mahakaruna, looking towards the comfort of the convenience of the person concerned. Such a practice is quite satisfactory, quite good, quite reasonable. So one has got to think about such things nowadays. It is the Buddha told Ananda, since there was no need for undergoing this Parivada on observation period for 4 months, the Buddha instructed Ananda to novitiate ascetic Subhadda. Accordingly, Elder Ananda took ascetic Subhadda to a certain place and soaked his head with the water from the water bottle which they were carrying during traveling, and shaved his head while reciting this so-called Tija Pinchaka, which is the meditation on the 32 parts of the body, the first group of 5 parts of the 32 parts of the body. Shaved his head and donned robes. In this way, Elder Subhadda, ascetic Subhadda, was novitiated. Time was around midnight on the full moon day of Kasum, around April-May. It was summer, so water was very scarce. The only water available was from the water carrier. And perhaps there was no ropes around available to ascetic Subhadda, so Elder Ananda had to look for these ropes, and this novitiation ceremony was as brief as could be, not in the form of the elaborate ceremony which takes place nowadays. However, since this ascetic Subhadda was full of faith and confidence, and his motivation was to reach the highest holiness, as soon as the Buddha has given this meditation lesson, he was able to undertake this practice to realize the final path of arahantship. So this kind of novitiation, ordination was very worthy and valuable. And this way he was able to be novitiated as Samanera in the beginning. And after that, Elder Ananda brought him to the Buddha, and it is said that the Buddha ordained him. So was given by the commentarians. But how was he ordinated was something to be thought about. Perhaps not in the nature of ordaining him like in some special cases calling the monk by the Buddha as a bhikkhu, come monk and practice. If the Buddha does that or did that, there was no need for shaving the head, nor looking for the ropes, nor taking the 3 refuges, nor novitiation. Automatically one could become a monk. So in this case, the Buddha has not said that. If the Buddha had said this, a bhikkhu, and one could become a monk by being called like this without going through the ordination ceremony, then such a person would have his head shaved automatically and would be in robes automatically. How miraculous! And he would appear as a 60 Vasa, a monk who had 60 Vasa, that means about 80 years, like myself. So here, the Ananda had to shave his head and wear the robes, look for the robes for this ascetic Subhadda, and give the 3 refuges, that is to take refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. So perhaps it is not the kind of ordination that the Buddha did in special occasions by calling a bhikkhu, come monk, practice. So not in the way of the taking of the refuges and to ordain, because perhaps the ascetic Subhadda did not undergo this procedure of ordination without the refuges, because such procedure had been removed or cancelled, that had not become formal, it had not made formal previously, at that time or earlier on, way before the Buddha's final passing away. So it is not possible to undergo that kind of procedure, that is without the taking refuges, becoming ordained automatically. And there was also not in the form of question and answer by the Buddha, the ordination procedure by question and answer, by way of question and answer between the Buddha and the person concerned. Perhaps it was the procedure which we are going through nowadays, that is Nyati Chatutta Kama Vacha. That is the monk to be is taken to is invited into the Sima Hall, or goes into the Sima Hall. He is surrounded by monks, more than 5 monks. And then he had to be questioned, also the questions, whether he had to be questioned, also the questions, whether he had to be questioned.